so. And 3 of them are expanding their business internationally. Now, many of you who are thinking of building a global business are asking themselves a lot of questions. The likes of how to benefit from the richness of opportunities that are around you, but also how to avoid all these problems, the likes of limitations in financing, the scarcity of intelligent, creative professionals, Polish mentality, which is probably one of the biggest problems in a country that is torn apart in internal conflicts, and a country with a serious problem with a lack of trust. That mentality issue seems to be a fairly big problem. But 3 of our companies actually did manage to do so, did manage to go international, and I want to tell you how it happened. But first, at the very beginning of each and every of our investments, there was a big hype. The founders were figuring out their business plans, and they were getting to that point that they were believing that their concept or business concept is actually doable. And obviously for us, it's a very enthusiastic moment as well. That kind of mixture of, I would say, pride and joy that exciting people with an exciting concept of a business are making a decision to locate their operation in our environment. It's always been giving us a lot of joy, but somehow, in quite a few situations, the beautiful picture gets destroyed with this, and actually it does happen. Unfair communication, abuse of power, and conflicts. And I want to tell you a story of Pozlab, which is one of our best performing portfolio companies. Usually it is so that people do not like to share, let's say, the problem stories. The Pozlab guys actually did say, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's show people what happens in our business. Well, in 2012, GlaxoSmithKline closed down an R&D site in Poznan. 8 of the 40 scientists working there decided to set up their own business. They got a lot of equipment from GSK as a form of compensation for the termination of the contract. And with that, bunch of equipment they had, they were looking for people to help them develop the business. They went to a local medical university. As you can imagine, they couldn't help them a lot in building up a business, but soon, or a few months later, they came up, they showed up at our premises. And we thought that's a beautiful occasion to develop such a business with them, an R&D business. They wanted to set up an R&D business providing research and development services for other pharmaceutical companies. And that was a fantastic team of people with a very sound and solid knowledge and experience in drug development and production of drug and drug registration. So we thought, wow, this is it. And they obviously built up with our finance guys a business plan. We signed an investment contract. We provided them with a bit of financial engineering. We provided them pretty state-of-the-art infrastructure, GMP certified. And they just went on. The business plan they worked out was obviously very diligent, with a thorough expenditures plan, and as you can imagine, with a revenue forecast. And we started on. And you know what? They were incurring the expenditures right on plan, and as per agreement, but the revenues not. And this is when the problems started. Now, in such situations, the responsibility, for obvious reasons, lies on the board of management. Well, in this case, the board of management claimed that other circumstances were the cause of the problem. So we started arguing. A bit later, the argument was really, really difficult for both sides, and there was a lot of emotions in it. We started accusing each other of all this, you know, unfair communication, manipulation, incompetence. And it was very difficult. We got to the point that, you know, a really, really small issue would take us half a year to solve, like, for example, verification of media consumption. And you know what? The worst thing is that at some point, I was watching other art investments, other art portfolio companies kind of following the same route, you know, not providing, not delivering the results or not realizing the plan. And I started thinking, geez, I mean, we're going to get drowned. This is not happening. There's something wrong that we're doing here. And I decided, well, I mean, I've got nothing to lose. So I went to this board of management, Anya and Stefan, by the way, and I said to them, listen, I mean, I am the first one to admit that I'm making mistakes, or we, my team, we are making the mistakes. We are manipulating a little bit, you know, we are abusing the power a little bit. We do show unjustified emotions, but you know what? We are in this together. And step by step, I started investing in trust, rather than investing into making sure that they know what they did wrong. And you know what? It started working. My investment director, he just couldn't believe what I was doing. Because I completely did not regard what they were doing wrong. I replaced him, and it started working. It started working because Anya and Stefan, they also retracted their egos and said, well, we've got nothing to lose, so why don't we just focus on the issues? And you know what? And this is it. We managed to focus on the issues. That company, POSLab, 2 years later, they broke even. They're a profitable company, providing services in drug development for the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world, or at least in Europe and Asia, not in America yet. And that taught us a lot. And today at YouNick, you know, business plan, business evaluation, founder's responsibility for financial result of the venture, or investment contract. If we're talking about seed or pre-seed investments, these are no longer priorities for us. Instead of that, what we focus on is the user research, we focus on the technology, and we focus on the design. And we simply help people solve issues. Now, user research. You see, user research normally is, most commonly is linked, or is being linked with the user experience so popular in software development. Well, for us at YouNick, user research is the art of doing every business whatsoever. User research helps us to develop basically any product, any service that we get involved in. And you know what? I need 2 people now to help me run a small experiment. It's an easy experiment, just to show you how user research helped one of our portfolio companies, Smart Pharma, to develop a product called Inner Baby. You know, any volunteers? Please? Because I need someone who doesn't know how to, or maybe someone who knows how to administer drugs to newborn babies. Hello. Over. Anybody else? I need another person, maybe a lady. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry for that. Okay, well, we'll have 2 fathers. The challenge? I'll tell you. Your name is?
Alex.
Alex. Brilliant. Sorry. And your name?
Martin.
Well, sorry. Listen, well, this is the job. Okay. I would like you to pretend that you are two concerned fathers of a newborn baby, prematurely born. So let's pretend his name is Robert. Robert was born 3 months ago. He spent 2 months in an incubator. He weighs 2.5 kilos, right? And he needs, now watch out, he needs 1 milligram of ferrum every day, right? Per 1 kilo of his weight. Now what I want you to do is, here is a sachet, right? Of ferrum. Now this sachet contains 1 gram of powder. Now in that powder, 1 gram of powder, there is 7 milligrams of ferrum. And I want you to figure out how to do it in order to, administer that particular dosage to your beloved son. You have got a scale, you have got your bottle of milk. This is not of interest. I brought you some utensils that normally you wouldn't have at home, but they might be helpful. A little plate, a scale, and yeah, well, I think you can do it, right?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, perhaps you need a calculator, which I don't have. Maybe you have a phone to, yeah, okay, brilliant.
It's not a calculator, no. What's that?
No, this is a scale. This is a scale. This is a scale, darling.
First problem phone. Okay.
Yeah,
I think we
I don't know how it opens.
we need to make some difficult calculations, some advanced math.
So once again, do you want me to repeat it? 2.5
child-
kilo, the child needs 1 milligram of ferrum. 2.5 milligrams of ferrum, right. And now in one sachet there is 1 gram of powder, and that 1 gram of powder there is 7 milligram of ferrum. And you got to figure out how to take out of this sachet 2.5 milligram of ferrum, because I don't know how much powder that is.
One third.
Oh, and one thing. Your baby has gone through quite a lot, and now the thing is that, this ferrum, you need to be precise, this ferrum contains the sort of compound of ferrum that causes constipations. And you don't want your child to have constipation, so please be precise with the dosage. Yeah. So that's why all these wonderful utensils. Yeah, why don't you just open it up? But you need to calculate first. How much of powder?
Okay, so there is 7 inside and 7.
1 gram. Yeah.
So we need, so 1/3, but a little more.
Yeah.
So here is 1 gram, yes? So
Yeah.
we need 350 milligrams of this,
It's powder. It's a powder. So just open it up. Maybe you could use this, right? Yeah. Okay, just use your calculator. Check. Well, I'm sure your calculation was right. Well, then take out. Too much. It's still too much, sorry. Yeah, well, let's say it's okay. So, can you please put it inside the bottle?
We're not going to drink it, yeah?
Well, just open it up. It's a normal bottle. Oh, see it. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. You might put this inside, right? Well, Alex is very diligent, I'll tell you. I mean, you are a professional, you know. You know, the precision that you're doing it. Wow. Gram of powder still on this. So not only that we have a problem with the measurement, but you know what? We've got yet another problem. We give it to...
There is some residual here.
Yeah, there is some residual here, and moreover, we give it to Robert, and Robert doesn't want to drink the whole bottle, and what do we do then? You know? So anyhow, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Michał, who set up Smart Pharma, he developed a different product called Innofer, which is a suspension. I will tell you a little bit about it in a moment. But he knew that user research. He knew that the user experience of administering the ferrum to the newborn, prematurely newborn babies is pain in the rear end. If you're a nurse and you've got to measure out 60 of those every day, it takes you, 2 hours almost. And this is why he developed Innofer Baby. Well, Innofer Baby is a suspension. And it's the proportions in the suspension is they're thought in such a way, or they're worked out in such a way that it's just 1 or 2 lines on the syringe to be administered per each kilo of the weight of the baby. So it's plain and simple. You don't have to run these calculations, and you don't have a problem with any residuals, and you don't have a problem with the fact that the child doesn't want to drink the full bottle, and you don't have a problem with children that are breastfed. So this is it. And now, Innofer is a beautiful example for me. It's a simple example of how user research meets with technology. So, in other words, knowing the user problem, Michał and the founders of Smart Pharma simply figure out that they need a different form of the product to meet the user need. Yeah. Sorry, I'm forgetting to switch the slides. Now, Innofer has got also is an example for another aspect. Now, we know from the user research, we know from the patient's research that regular compound of ferrum causes constipation. And what Michał did is he used a different compound of ferrum, he licensed it in, and he used it for this suspension. And that suspension simply doesn't cause the typical side effects of the regular compound of ferrum, like constipations and the changed color of teeth. And you know what? And it's plain and simple. He didn't invent that compound. He just licensed it in. And this product today is being used in majority of neonatal units in Poland. Nurses love it. And Smart Pharma is expanding their business internationally as well. It's a simple product. It's a dietary supplement. But it was just nicely linked with the user research, and the small technology that is behind it matched very well the user need. Because we want both the technology to meet the user need, as well as the design. Now, talking about user research and technology, I want to give you also another kind of anti-example of a beautiful product, Dice Plus, who was created by mind sailors. And mind sailors in my story are very important here. I will come back to these guys later in my story. So this beautiful, beautiful product was developed by mind-sailors, engineers, and designers, and they did a wonderful job integrating all these wonderful technologies, right? Now what happened was they figured out after the launch of the market that the product unfortunately had too many features, and the most common users, which were the parents and the kids, they just did not appreciate all these functionalities. Now, that contributed heavily to serious problems that founders and investors later on had to face in business development. Now, had they done the user research, and in this particular case, had they done the pre-market launch tests with different variations of the product on real users, they would have known that before they produced the dice and launched it on the market. Now, as far as technology, I also would like to show you one more example, and I know that we're running out of time, so I'll be cutting down. Now, this is Shirley. You know, Shirley is a management solution for sensitive data, for sharing sensitive data in business. Now, what I would like to draw your attention to is the box. Now, maybe I'm talking about trivial things, but somehow it is so that in majority of cases, in majority of products that are being developed in this country, the problem is that people are not appreciating the simple technologies that stand behind, or maybe not simple, but technology that stands behind creating such a box. The material selection, surface processing, production process optimization, and issues like that. These are invariably issues that contribute to various problems in product development, in cost overrun, in product development. And this is why, see, at YouNick, what we did is we integrated fully our investment team, our user researchers, with mind-sayer and POSLab engineers, scientists, and designers to make sure, first, that the technology meets the user need, and secondly, that the product development is on time, on budget, and most importantly, it pleases the tastes of our users. What we've also discovered and are very thorough about is that, going back to the example that I gave you at the very beginning, POSLab, the business plan, the business evaluation, any particular stipulations of the contract investments are no longer a priority for us. They're still in the process, but hey, none of these companies that are up and flying in our portfolio, their success is not related to any of that. They went through major crises, they encountered many of problems, and they did not follow any plan they've ever made at the very beginning. So this is why these issues in our environment go on a second plan. And the three companies that are up and running are also selling their products and services outside of Polish borders taught us yet another lesson, including POSLab. And that's my, let's say, final statement. They taught us that, you know, the key to the gate of building an international business is nothing more than focusing on the real issues, embracing the human, be it the client, be it the partner, regardless nationality. You know, if it's a product directed for Polish market, German, Asian, Chinese, American, it doesn't matter. There's always a human there, and that empathy and the ability to embrace the human and diligent work on the issues is the key to the gate of, in our opinion, global businesses. And if you're just going to follow that, I think you'll be just fine. Thank you. Thank you.